In a small town tucked between endless rows of cotton fields and quiet dirt roads, there lived a girl named Tiana. The town barely appeared on maps, and most people who passed through never noticed it at all. But to Tiana, it was everything she had ever known. The land shaped her hands, the sun shaped her patience, and silence shaped her thoughts. Tiana was a Black American farm girl, born into a family that worked hard and spoke little about dreams. Her parents believed in survival before hope and responsibility before happiness. Every morning before school, Tiana helped her mother feed the chickens and pack lunches, and every evening she helped her father repair fences or carry tools back into the shed. Life was not cruel, but it was heavy. She learned early how to be strong. What she never learned was how to be sure. Tiana was the kind of girl who carried doubts quietly. They followed her like shadows, whispering questions when she was alone. Am I enough? Am I too much? Will people leave once they see who I really am? She never said these things out loud. In her town, vulnerability was seen as weakness, and Tiana had already decided she could not afford to be weak. When she met Gavin, her world shifted in a way she didn't expect. Gavin was different from anyone she had known. He wasn't loud or careless. He listened. He noticed small things like how Tiana always pushed her sleeves up when she was nervous, or how she hummed softly while walking through fields. He treated her like she mattered, not because he wanted something, but because he genuinely cared. They met during their last year of high school, when Gavin volunteered at a community project helping repair old farm equipment for families who couldn't afford new tools. Tiana had been sent by her father to help, and she didn't expect much from the day. But by the afternoon, she found herself laughing at Gavin's clumsy jokes and feeling something unfamiliar bloom in her chest. Love came slowly, quietly. It grew in shared silences and long walks down dusty roads. Gavin never rushed her. He never pressured her. He told her he believed in her dreams, even when she didn't say them out loud. And that scared Tiana more than anything else. Because when you grow up believing that good things don't last, love feels less like comfort and more like risk. At first, Tiana's doubts were small. A delayed reply to a message, a conversation Gavin had with someone else that she didn't hear clearly, a smile that lasted a second too long. Each moment planted a seed in her mind, and instead of pulling it out, she watered it with fear. She never asked Gavin directly what she was thinking. She was afraid that if she did, she would sound foolish, or worse, unworthy. So she stayed silent and let her thoughts grow louder. What if he finds someone better? What if he realizes I'm too complicated? What if he's only pretending to care? Gavin noticed the change in her. He noticed how Tiana became quieter, how her laughter faded, how her eyes searched his face for answers she never asked for. He tried to reassure her in 100 small ways, holding her hand longer, speaking her name gently, reminding her she was important to him. But reassurance cannot fight a doubt that is never spoken. At the same time, Tiana was facing problems in every other part of her life. Her parents argued more as money became tighter. College applications brought fear instead of excitement. Teachers expected more from her than she felt capable of giving. Everywhere she turned, she felt like she was failing someone. And slowly, without realizing it, she placed the weight of all her fears onto her relationship. When Gavin was late once, Tiana didn't think of traffic or responsibilities. She thought of betrayal. When he seemed tired, she assumed it was boredom, with her. Her love became guarded, cautious, tense. One evening, standing under a sky full of stars, Gavin finally asked her, "Tiana, why do you look at me like you're already losing me?" She wanted to tell him the truth. She wanted to say, "Because I'm scared, because I don't know how to trust happiness, because I don't know how to believe someone could choose me and mean it." But instead, she said, "Nothing, I'm fine." That was the moment the distance truly began. Doubt doesn't explode, it erodes. Weeks passed, then months. Small misunderstandings became arguments. Tiana accused Gavin of things he hadn't done, not loudly but subtly, through coldness, through suspicion, through silence. Gavin tried to talk, but every conversation felt like walking through fog. Loving Tiana was still important to him, but it was becoming painful. One night, after a long argument that ended with Tiana walking away instead of listening, Gavin sat alone on his porch and realized something that broke his heart. Love should not feel like punishment. When he finally told Tiana that he needed space, her world collapsed. She didn't cry at first. She didn't scream. She just stood there, feeling something empty open inside her chest. For the first time, her doubts had become real. She watched Gavin walk away, and for the first time, she knew the difference between fear and regret. The days after were the hardest Tiana had ever known. Everything reminded her of him. The fields they walked through, the old bench by the road, the quiet evenings filled with conversation. But now there was only silence, and silence gave her no comfort. She replayed every moment in her mind, every accusation, every time she chose doubt over trust, every time she was afraid to ask instead of assuming. And slowly, painfully, she understood. Gavin hadn't left because he didn't love her. He left because her doubt told him he wasn't trusted. Tiana learned a lesson that no one had ever taught her. Love cannot survive where trust is denied. Doubt does not protect the heart, it wounds it, and sometimes it wounds the very thing trying to heal you. She began to change, not for Gavin, but for herself. She learned to speak instead of assuming, to ask instead of accusing, to understand that love requires courage, not suspicion. But some lessons come after loss. Years later, Tiana stood again in those same fields, older, wiser, still carrying sadness, but no longer ruled by fear. She never forgot Gavin, not as pain, but as truth. She learned that doubting someone who truly loves you can be more harmful than loving and risking heartbreak. And she promised herself that if love ever came again, she would meet it with honesty, not fear. Because love does not need perfection, it needs trust.